Hey everybody, welcome to another Age of Grogu, and tonight I have got Emmanuel and Julie and Daniel, and guys, we are going to be talking about Skeleton Crew episodes 1 and 2. Um, guys, it's been a while. Last time we caught
Been
up
a
was when we were
while.
watching the Acolyte series.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
it's been a
Yeah,
while.
and I think we all agree that we thoroughly enjoyed the Acolyte.
Mm-hmm.
Just recap on that for a second. It's like, yeah. Um, I miss that show. I'm sad that we're not going
And
to be
no season
getting
two.
any season
More.
2. Yeah, they kind of officially announced it. What are your thoughts on that?
It's just surprising because I feel like the Acolyte of all the most recent shows, minus,
Hmm.
season two of Mandalorian,
Yeah,
had
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest reveals, like, ever. And the fact
yeah,
that it's just so not
yeah,
well received, just
yeah,
for
Yeah,
stupid reasons, is
yeah.
yeah.
so. I'm so upset. I wanted
Yeah,
to see more of that story.
me too.
Same. I
Oh
feel
yeah,
like their play
Yeah.
with the force and their play with especially the fighting and everything.
yeah,
We haven't got that type of fighting in Star Wars in a while.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's
I
like
agree.
I'm for sure gonna miss that. For
Yeah,
sure. And I wanted to see more. I wanted to see more
yeah.
dark side. I wanted to see
Yeah,
more abilities that they'll be able to do.
Oh, absolutely. Daniel?
and I think it was fun to just have a show set outside of the era we're normally in, to have it in
Yeah,
the High Republic, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm
right,
just sad that that got canceled. It wasn't well received, and it means we'll probably just be sticking around the
right.
same time period now. So
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
agree. It is a pity, but moving on, we're now a few months down the track, and we have got Skeleton Crew, and basically, guys, what are your thoughts on the first two episodes? Anyone
Amazing.
jump in? Hmm?
Hey,
Fun. It was just fun.
so
Yeah,
much. I just
yeah,
watching it is just adventure. I get adventure.
hmm,
I get fun. I
yeah,
get the goofiness. It
hmm,
takes me back to. It took me back watching it. It took me back to the '90s, early 2000s. That's when I was a kid. Early 2000s took me.
Hey,
So.
guys, I'm gonna stop just for a second. We're gonna bring in Ronin Unchained.
Oh
Ronin,
yeah,
how's
what's
it
up,
going?
brother?
Hey.
Hello, everybody.
And
What's up,
guys,
man?
we've got Ronin Unchained joining us too. We literally just started, but I'm glad you were able to join us, Ronin. We're just basically in this early stage of saying, what's everybody's thoughts on Skeleton Crew episodes 1 and 2?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Of
Sorry I was a
course.
little delayed.
That's all right.
I'm moving irons in the fire.
Oh, good.
But yeah, Skeleton Crew, the first episodes, I think it brought in a new, fresh air
Yeah.
that may not be what everyone was seeking or whatnot, but to me, it really dawned when you looked at the whole valley shots of just the
Hmm.
kids waiting for the bus and whatnot. I'm like, I
Hmm.
have never seen an opening to a story this peaceful in a long time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Besides the pirate thing, which was
Yeah.
Yeah.
bound to happen because it's they got to do the New Hope opening
Hmm.
again. But yeah, I was so shocked and like again, if you look at
Yeah.
the reaction we did, me and Busy Brahma were like, this feels odd. That like it's too peaceful. We're not used to this much peace in this one instance, and
Yeah.
It felt like Earth, right? It felt like an Earth show in the beginning,
it might
like
as well
like
have
the
been
kids,
ET
Right.
or Stranger Things, if you will.
literally.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
like just the kids trying to make it through the week of school and whatnot.
Hmm.
But yeah, I dug the first two episodes.
Yeah.
I like the dynamic between the characters. I mean, I
Hmm.
think as of right now, Neil and SM33, is that the name of the
Hmm.
droid? If I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
Yes.
Neil's
Yes.
the
Smee.
one the Cyclops glasses, right? The
Uh-huh.
Asian.
Well,
Yeah.
well, that's
No.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's
KB.
yes,
KB,
yes,
yeah.
KB
KB,
There you
advisor.
yes,
go.
I'm
yeah,
digging it.
What do
But
you
yeah,
think?
Neo and SM33, I think right now are my favorite things of the show. But I
hmm,
just love that like
hmm,
we're seeing how the perspective of children in this universe and
yeah,
how very much specifically this story is so secluded
hmm,
and
Hmm.
deliberately, and how there's
hmm,
if you look into it, there's hints of like, okay, why is this whole story so secluded? And
yeah,
that leads off into another side of the galaxy that I'm I'm not rushing to watch, but I'm like, you know what,
hmm.
I'm gonna stay with it and see what happens
Oh,
because
sure,
I don't know where they're going with this, and
yeah, yeah,
specifically in this time period.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Manuel or Julie? I can't remember who I just cut you off in the middle of it, but I'm sorry, I
Sorry,
didn't mean to cut
sorry.
you guys off.
There you go.
Yeah, Julie, what are your take? What's your take on the show?
I, for one, I'm always a fan of scores, and
Hmm.
I am loving the ET musical innuendos here and there throughout the entire last 2 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
And then also, I just have to comment another part in particular. That moment at the end of season 2. Spoiler alert, by the way. In case
Episode 2, you meant?
Yeah.
Yes.
When the force is being used, that piece
Yeah.
of music is beautiful. It literally made me
Yeah.
want to tear up from crying. Like, it was so good.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I just the biggest Neil fan in the world.
Uh-huh.
I would protect him at all costs, and
Yeah.
his little baby sisters and brothers.
Yep.
And it's a cute story. Like, it's not something that anyone asked for, like Andor, but like
Yep.
I'm glad we have it because
Yeah.
it's refreshing, and it's like you can't hate on kids or else you're just horrible. So
Oh, absolutely.
Man.
So, Daniel, you and I had a different experience. We got the chance to go to the big screen and
Yes.
see it at the El Capitan. What was your experience on seeing it there again?
I think it was very fun. I think the crowd added a lot. Every joke I think landed a little
Absolutely.
harder because you hear
Oh,
everyone laughing, and it's the environment that it creates.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was a great time being surrounded by other Star Wars fans. I always love when I get the opportunity to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go back through real quick to what Julie said about the score. It's funny, Brent, because me and you were talking in line for the event about how
Yes.
you felt the scores had been underutilizing the traditional
Yes.
themes and motifs, and then we got a lot of that in
Yeah.
these 2 episodes. So
Well, the score, just to note, was done by Mick
Michael's
Giacchino.
son.
Michael
Giacchino.
Giacchino's son. Yeah, Giacchino. Yeah.
Oh, really?
And that was his son who composed it.
did Rogue One.
And yeah, and
Michael, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, because I know Michael did Batman too, right?
yeah,
Funny
Yes.
enough,
Yeah.
Michael did
Yeah.
the Batman, but his son did the Penguin, which I
Oh,
think he's super
Oh, that's
Jewish.
Did he?
I found
he
out,
did
yeah.
too. Yes, of course.
I
Like
love
that-
Michael. He's my favorite composer.
Yeah. Well, his son did the series, did this, and I thought he did an amazing job.
Amazing job.
Yeah.
The piratey theme, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is
It works
Dude.
so well.
Bro,
this is the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. That
feels
is
like
Yeah.
up my alley.
So fantasy. I love
Yeah.
it.
it's I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it takes me. This show really takes me back to like early 2000. It just makes me feel like a kid. Like
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
it gives me. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, absolutely. I mean, I come from the 80s when there weren't actually any toy lightsabers around and stuff like that. And, you've got these moments that,
Man.
you see the character Wim playing with his little action figures there, playing with the Jedi and the lightsabers. And I think that, actually, before we even get to that stuff with the kids, I feel like we should just take it right back to the beginning. You got this entire opening sequence with the whole space pirate battle going on. You're introduced to these new pirates and stuff like that. And I personally felt like I'm going to, full disclosure, I went in kind of a bit iffy. I saw, I thought that, Stranger Things was a fun show, but by the time they moved on from season 1, I was like, okay, I couldn't get into it as much. I never was really a huge fan of Super 8, if you ever saw that J.J. Abrams film, but it had the same vibes. And so I was very cautious going into this because I am a kid of the 80s. And I was a child of in the 80s, basically. And I grew up with these elements. And
Goonies?
The Goonies, all that sort of stuff. I saw it the first time around when they came out in the theaters, kind of thing. So for me to have that experience and feel like I was going to connect to that experience by getting it through Star Wars in the universe, I was a little skeptical. And I think it all went out the door the second I saw those title cards go up and kind of say, this is the Pirates era. This is like, you're talking about Mandalorian era. You've got pirates, and they are becoming a thing post-Empire. And it makes sense. You're going to have smugglers and pirates.
Do you guys know how
getting
many
into power again.
years it takes place after?
6 or 7, I think.
yeah,
Let's
around
see.
the same time as the Mando.
Yeah, this
Oh,
is
okay.
coherent with the Mando and Ahsoka.
Because
Okay,
Vang
okay.
is
Yes,
in there.
yeah.
Is that his name? Vang?
Vane,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, well, here he
Vane,
is
yeah.
from, Mandalorian. It was the shot because he escaped in his ship after he fights, fights against Mando when they're fighting over
Navarro.
Navarro, yeah.
Navarro.
Yeah,
Navarro,
Navarro
yeah.
with Goron. And he was just the one guy who escaped, and you see him in the background, of course, in the shots with the other,
Jaleel
guys.
White.
Where Urkel?
Yeah.
Steve
Yeah.
Urkel?
Yes. Yeah. And then they introduced a few new other characters. You've got
Dude,
Brutus,
That
which is
space
like
werewolf.
becomes the
werewolf.
Yeah, and then you've also got this guy who I think we all know who's under the mask.
Yeah, I know that it is.
Jude Law, of course.
Darth Plagueis?
Jod.
Oh.
Darth Plagueis. Yeah. No, there's definitely that British accent kind of gave it away that it's Jude Law's character. But I thought it was just a great introduction. I like how they did that and managed to, What were your thoughts on the intro, guys? You enjoy it?
Yeah, dude. The intro, the part that took me, like, I was just like, "Yo, this is crazy." When one of they shot him in the eye, and he just got shot.
Yes, yeah.
Shot him again.
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, yo, I thought this was a kid show, bro."
Nah, those some cool stuff.
Yeah, it was more gruesome than I was expecting. I was expecting going in. I was like, my main worry is that it's going to be a little too childish for me to really get into.
Yep. Agreed.
And I think that opening scene did a lot to help dispel that. Where I was like, okay, so we're going to have action, we're going to have intense moments, even though it's with the overlay of the kids.
Yeah.
So
It's
Keeping the thread alive in the Star Wars universe. Yeah,
it's definitely one of my top 3 cold opens. I would say of all the Star Wars shows.
Yeah.
And it's just in a way kind of like how Force Awakens was very similar to A New Hope, but it kind of still felt fresh and fun.
Yeah.
This opening scene was essentially the first scene of A New Hope as well.
Yeah.
But it had such
even the positioning of all the guns that went on.
Well, it wasn't just but even camera angles and camera choices, all of that stuff, angles of actors and cast. Even some lines obviously that fell through. That were like, okay, we know that's from A New Hope. But it's still cool to hear it's said by someone.
Diplomatic mission.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
This is a cargo ship.
The Rebels reference.
Yeah.
Anybody catch the Rebels little Easter egg in there? I think, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
So,
that?
one of the shots, a bunch of fruit is being blasted on.
And it was
a Melu run?
Yeah,
I think it's the thing that Hera loves.
I didn't catch those.
I didn't catch the Melu run. I gotta check that again. No way.
So I was just like, "Yo, is that the space mango? Is that what's there?"
Well, they were not shy throughout the first 2 episodes in giving us these little Easter egg elements. And we'll go into those, as we go through it. But there was so much. I mean, so, at that point we had that whole opening scene and Jod kind of screws up and they don't find these, credits and obviously gets himself into trouble. And then we cut to this random planet with these kids and, you're introduced to Wim, who is the first... main character you get introduced to here. Of course, he's got his blue milk and cereal, which we've seen, of course, before from Andor, of course. Yeah. Again, it's like they're not afraid to kind of throw these little things at you. This is everyday life for these characters. And this was my biggest fear going in again, was the fact that it felt, from the trailers, it felt very Earth-like and very, very... didn't belong in the Star Wars universe kind of feel. And I think we later discover, as I said, I don't mind jumping between the 2 episodes, but I didn't mind discovering that there's something going on with this planet.
Yeah,
I agree.
I didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah,
it was a fun twist.
Yeah, I found it interesting that they kind of because based off of the tablets that he was using or that he was playing with, seems like they kind of revered the Jedi, they looked up to the Jedi.
Yes.
Instead of they based it looks like a story or something pretty much saying that the heroes instead of the Sith talking about how Jedi are bad and all that.
It's not just that. It's almost like they're part of the Old Republic of information. Their information all comes from the Old Republic.
Yeah.
They didn't even know about the Empire, which means they are isolated. You've got this whole concept of the barrier over the planet, which again, at first I didn't quite think anything of it.
Same.
Until the kids saw the stars for the first time, and that kind of was like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
We get a lot of stuff going on. I mean,
also, can I also say that, again, at first it's like, man, this is okay. I guess we're going to school.
Yeah.
And I think it was a brilliant choice. Okay, the first episode, they're in their home planet. You get where the jizz is going. Usually, this would last longer in other shows, but we meet the tutor and the cool
these
green creature, the droids and whatnot.
Security bots.
Oh yeah, you can't get any closer than Uncle Sam looking over your shoulder, kind of thing.
Which I think even that's a big thing of like, are they watching the kids for safety, or is this a monitoring system? Which I wanted to bet it is monitoring.
Well, you've got the restricted areas in the forests and stuff like that where the ship was found. So you've got all.
It's kind of giving like The Giver. I don't know if any of you guys have seen The Giver or read the book, but it's like a dystopian perfect society where they like assign jobs and like you have to act a certain way, and it's very much giving that kind of vibe. So
and I love that. I mean, I don't know if y'all have listened to it or like heard people, but they said that Aden was supposed to be the crown jewel of the Old Republic.
Really? Okay.
There was something that I put out that I'm like, ooh, okay, I wonder what that's going about. And I'm still like wanting to like balance that out where like, okay, why the secrecy? But also, what are these kids like now that they're out of their safety net? Because there was so much the rule breakers. And like, I want to go to school. I want to be a Jedi. It's like, okay, you got a chance now. How does that feel? And what an interesting dynamic it's with what's his name, Wim, and his dad.
Yes.
That dynamic was fascinating. The whole time I was like, yo, that's effed up, man. It's the kid. You want him to already start paying his taxes if you want to learn how to run his taxes. And I'm like,
his dad drinks the Kool-Aid, man.
That's it. Like
a bot. He's like a bot, literally. He's just screaming, Wim, my son. I hope he breaks out of it too in the future.
I think he will. I think even at the end of like episode 1, when we see him like chasing after the ship, I think he's gonna realize like, oh, these people don't care as much about my family and my son as they should. He's gonna like break out of the system in a way.
I think that we're in addition to following the kids in their journey and getting back home and discovering the secrets of Aden. I think we're gonna see a little kind of side arc with the dad trying to discover stuff from within as well. Like I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah, I mean that's the greater mystery right now. I'm loving that dynamic that it isn't just about the kids now. They have set up this thing, a mystery for us to solve or to be solved, of why this planet's here. And that, again, it's like, it is, the Empire obviously has never been here because they have never fallen, we've seen what the rest of the galaxy looks like in the Star Wars universe after the Empire. And although the rest of the galaxy is starting to improve post-Empire, this place has been thriving like this for a very long time and surviving. And it's, and whatever the cloaking field is above the planet going on there, the barrier, it too is like a mystery as to why did they do this,
or how old I'm pretty sure I don't even think they were in contact with, like, I would say, like, I don't know, I feel like you guys said, take it back to the Old Republic era, so who knows how long they're isolated for and what they know about the real, like, what's going on in the galaxy.
It's
gonna be interesting. Another interesting thing too is like we still found a way to connect this to the High Republic era.
Yes. In
terms of the great works. I mean, even the way that the Chancellor or that one principal dresses looks so High Republic. But they mentioned the great works multiple times.
Right.
Right there.
Yeah. That is Fern's mother, isn't it? Correct?
Yes.
Was that? Yes.
And that was something that was definitely taking place during the High Republic. So it was just like adds a little layer to things that might be going on there.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And she definitely knows what's up. Like, I think that's
yes.
100%.
I wouldn't be surprised if she was actually in contact with the actual
outside world or the outside universe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious that they've got everything from low-level speeders and stuff like that. They, with the there's no spaceships on this planet. We haven't seen a spaceship. This is that pirate ship alone is one thing. That's the other thing, is like the mystery behind the fact that Adam is important to the pirates about this treasure. Obviously, we're getting the treasure planet, treasure island. This has got all those vibes. and you suddenly go, well, this place is about to become under attack once it's found by like everybody. Pirate ship out there. This is going to be like you've got all these.
This is the One Piece, baby.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. This is the One Piece. You're right. Absolutely.
I saw somewhere too where it's like we see how Wim just so looks up to the Jedi and looks up and is so infatuated by them that they don't even know Order 66 happened.
Like, oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Who's gonna tell him? I don't want to be there when he finds out that all his heroes are dead.
Yeah. Ooh, that's rough too. I didn't even think about that. That's got to be an arc for Wim because he's going to learn that the Jedi fell, and that's going to be heartbreaking.
I feel like it'd be. I hope he ends up being some type of Force sensitive or something like that. I hope that would be cool.
I don't think sure. I doubt it. Yeah.
I could see Feisty if one of the kids had to be Force sensitive. I kind of like the idea of Fern being like that because it's kind of like Frodo in a way of like having the responsibility but not wanting it. I can definitely see her.
Well, let's talk about the kids for a few minutes. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say that, like, seeing Wim, if he finds out about Order 66 and the state of the Jedi, I hope there's a moment where, like, he doesn't just give up. And, like, I think it'd be a touching moment. Like, okay, if the Jedi are gone, then, and I may not be Force sensitive, then I'm going to do my best and honor them and whatnot. Like, that's how much they meant to me and whatnot. And I'm like, that would be such a touching, empowering moment. Then, like, okay, this kid is still growing up and whatnot, but he already has that Jedi mindset, if you will, of like, okay, that happened. You can move on, and now what you're gonna do next with your life. So I hope they do that with him.
Yeah, and then before we move on to the kids, real quick,
sure. Yeah,
we're talking about how like maybe the pirates find out about it. It's gonna be an all-out like assault or an all-out race to get there. They have no help because they've cut themselves off from the outside world, probably to protect themselves. But in turn, they're not a part of the New Republic. And we know how the New Republic feels about non-member planets.
Yeah.
So it's
there's a lot going on there. Yeah.
They've harmed themselves in trying to help themselves. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of that's the cool. Again, this is where the mystery is. I think there's all this mysteries of what and why and how. And I think straight away, again, going into this series, I was like on the fence about what I was going to take from this, and I think almost immediately all of those fears were settled down. And I think, Daniel, we were sitting next to each other at the theater, and I was like, yeah, I'm not too sure about this, and then within seconds I was like, yeah, I'm in. Done. Like, so good.
I have to ask, did you guys get posters or no?
We got posters.
We did.
Yes. Yeah, they only gave us one, unfortunately, but yeah, they got they did get some posters.
Nice.
Give out posters at the end there again, which was cool. Yeah. So anyway, let's jump onto the kids for a little bit. We talked a little bit about Wim. Let's talk about the one character that I think is, and I think we can all kind of agree, is kind of adorable.
No.
Neil.
I love Neil.
Neil Nation.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Neil Nation.
Yeah.
My favorite little moment between the kids is when Fern's like, "Can't you stuff his trunk or something?" He's like, "I talk from my mouth."
You know what was my favorite moment of him? It was when he was like, "Yo, that's an alien." Like,
yes, I did that in my reaction. I'm like, I laughed. Because I did a separate reaction, but I laughed again because I saw it. I dropped a reaction that was more like a observation, and my other friend had not seen it yet at the time, and it was just like, it was cool. Just those moments work over and over again, and if the moments work over and over again when you're sitting watching, then it's like, yeah, they've got something definitely going there.
Something is even him kicking a rock.
Well, I mean,
details,
Yeah, I mean the whole opening scene, like again, like who is it? Okay, we never had lightsabers as kids. And this is exactly how I would go to the schoolyard with friends, and we would just start pretending with imaginary lightsabers. I mean, who did not do that as a kid?
Yeah, exactly.
We
had the lightsabers.
I love how with the kids right off the bat, they take the picture of them literally being us as fans. Like, they're taking us on a literal journey.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I have to do that now. Me and my boys with a lightsaber.
Guys, we have to find a ship.
But at the same time, though, it is a reminisce for us as adults that pulls us back to who we were as kids.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this show did so well in the first episode, was they set that comfort zone for the adults, you know, and made us feel comfortable about what we were like as kids, and reminded us we were these kids, and the next generation of kids will be the same type of kid. They're gonna want to play with imaginary lightsabers and stuff like that if they don't have any wooden sticks or
whole different fantasy.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
Because I know for me growing up, Star Wars wasn't popular amongst like I was born in 1994, so growing up in like the early 2000s, like nobody. It's like anime and Star Wars wasn't that popular. So, you know, I will always rock my Star Wars stuff. I always rock my anime stuff. But now I'm seeing it now. Like being a nerd now is cool. Being geek now is cool. So I like them reminiscing to us as kids, and brings back good memories, man. Good memories.
Yeah. On the opposite side of that, I think Daniel and I grew up when Star Wars was at its prime with the prequels.
Yeah, I mean, I was 5 when Clone Wars came out, so like I was growing up in the middle of watching the Clone Wars every week. Me and my friends would reenact the fight scenes, you know.
Yeah.
And it was thriving when I was a kid, and I'm glad I got to experience that. So.
It's fascinating because I grew up with it. I found Star Wars very young as a kid, but I always felt that like I was always getting into stuff that was way already past its time of release, and I was just catching up. And almost at that same time, kids were either in sports or into like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, which I wasn't in at the time. I'm like, oh man, Star Wars, this is cool, man. So I would break a branch or something, whatever, and that'd be my lightsaber. Or if I got lucky and I found a branch that looked like Han Solo's pistol, that was my blaster one. It's fascinating how that played, and it's funny seeing you guys how Clone Wars was a time where it was going forward on a weekly basis. For me, and it's ironic because it's been already 10 years, but it wasn't until Force Awakens that I really felt the ignition to come to like Star Wars is back, and then we also have Rebels and kick in. So it's fascinating to see the map of where Star Wars is in pop culture and how much it's shining on in the generation that's being brought up.
And the continual use of revisiting itself and revisiting the same themes and all that sort of stuff. You know, you've got the return of a character from you know from the actual Disney ride, which Rex, And I thought that was it was a great moment. He's the bus driver. Obviously, again, an earlier generation of droid that you'd see from the from the Republic, and although we see them in Rebels as well and stuff like that, but it was cool.
I assume that Danielle and Julie are the youngest ones out of all of us, because if Emmanuel and I were born at the same time, you guys know how much Star Tours was the only thing we had.
Yeah.
If we went to Disneyland one night, that was the only thing. Like kids nowadays, you're spoiled. Galaxy's Edge.
Bro, I just went to Disneyland for my first time like 2 months ago.
Nice, good.
For the first time.
Yeah.
Bro, how cool is it, huh?
It was amazing, bro. I went on the Rise of the Resistance like 4 times. I had
I love that ride.
Still haven't been on.
Oh, good.
I haven't been back since. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, it was cool to see that character. It was really cool that they used the back of his head as a gum, through the gum in his head.
I know.
And just like kids being kids, and that's a lesson to be learned to some of the adults who can complain about shows, in the Star Wars universe. They forget to be kids again. I think the one thing, emotionally, I'm a kid at heart. I think most of us are kids at heart. I'm hoping to see people's reactions who would normally criticize this sort of thing and see what their thoughts are on it. I haven't seen too many negative reactions, but I haven't really been online much the last week either. So, but I'm curious to see how it plays out with the adults who kind of forget that they're kids and that Star Wars should be for adults and not for kids, and just not. I feel like, I don't know. It's just.
I mean, I've seen
the kid inside of me. Yeah,
it's weird because you look at it now and I'll flat out say it here that like, has every show hit it for me? No, it hasn't. I mean, I could tell you how much like as a whole, Obi-Wan Kenobi doesn't really work for me, or as a whole how the Book of Boba Fett doesn't, but because it doesn't work for me,
yeah,
it doesn't mean I want to tell Julie or Demano or anybody that like, no, if it doesn't work for me, it doesn't work for you. I'm like, you know what? Okay, fine. Yeah. That's a travesty that those two shows with the big names didn't work for me. But Star Wars is so much more than those two characters, and there's plenty of space to mingle about.
What I'm finding kind of like interesting within these trends of shows is that, like you said, the big name shows aren't hitting where they're thinking it's gonna hit with these fans, and it's these little stories, these little holes in the galaxy that people didn't think twice of that are being like fan favorites, and I love that because there's the series of books called From a Certain Point of View that kind of highlight little holes in all the original films, and that's what I love is just taking things that are so minute and unimportant and making them important and part of a big story. It's good writing.
Turning filler into canon.
I mean, that's like who would have? I didn't think. And listen, Diego is my boy. Like to think that my favorite character that resonated on a deep emotional way in Rogue One would get his own show, and I was like, all right, I'll watch it, but I'm not asking for it.
Right.
And I come out of that thing, and I'm like, yo. Dave, you got competition with the writing, man. Like, yo,
Tony Gilroy killed it.
Like, this is fresh blood. That like, it's a different tone, different side to Star Wars, but it's very much.
It was on like some Penguin type writing. Honestly,
it was. Everything felt important in that show, so like it all felt.
But I mean, but that's how like the Mandalorian was too. I think we was during COVID, and then nobody thought the Mandalorian was gonna. Nobody even knew anything about the Mandalorian until
at that time. I would have paid money to see the Mandalorian beforehand, before Episode 9. Like looking at it now, I was like, you know what? I want to see what this Western thing is, and see how much they're gonna actually go for it. And you look at that first season, it's like fresh blood, whatnot.
Is that each season, like, it feels like such a different theme. We had such that Western style in season 1. Season 2 became a fanfic, and then I don't know what happened in season 3. But, it's funny that you compared, like, just like the writing style to Andor, because I think that out of the shows, Andor was the highest rated on Rotten Tomatoes at a 96, and Skeleton Crew actually got 95, which is impressive.
It's hard to hate. The show's hard to hate, I think. Like, I think it just kind of brings out that childlike wonder in everyone. There are some people that I've seen online that I'm not going to name drop, but they were staunchly against like the Acolyte, and they've been enjoying Skeleton Crew as well. I haven't really seen much negativity for it at all. So that's surprising. I'm used to the Star Wars fan base being very toxic and finding things to hate and everything, but it feels like we're all kind of coming together, and we're like, this is a good show.
This is a good fun show
for the kids.
Us, the kids.
Yep, no, totally. Guys, so moving on again, just let's see. We end up by getting a bit more of Neil's family. Did you guys catch this deep cut with the
Brent?
little hologram stuff?
Dude.
Oh my god.
Yes,
I was tripping balls, dude. I was like, because I heard the music first, and I was like, no. No, it's one thing to say Life Day. It's one thing to do that. It's one thing to start selling the merch at your Disney at your theme park store. It's one thing to do that.
Yeah.
The fact that now you're showing something that is very like, even me watching, I was like, what the hell is that supposed to be? And I'm just like, that's when you don't have to use May the Force be with you all the time, or it's a trap the whole time.
Right.
It's just like, you use stuff like that. That's like, oh, you don't know what this is? Oh, wait till you're in the right age to watch the special and see how you make it out of that. And I just got giddy. I was messaging a fellow member of the community, Kyle, and I was like, bro, no effing way. They played the instrumental, the dance. Oh, it was a blast, man. Oh my god, I can't believe they did it.
So good.
Agreed. Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, again, I was there when the original holiday special played, and it was like, wow, that's kind of cool that they actually did that deep dive. Yeah, I know. Yes, I'm just showing my age right there. But at the same time, I watched it live on television back in Australia, and it was quite something. But
I salute you, sir.
Man.
Let's jump into the girls in the show anyway, guys. Fern and KB. First, I think the performance of the actress who plays Fern, I think she's fantastic. She's
100%.
awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, she's nailed it. She sets up her, she sets up the tone of what it's like to be the out of place kid, and a bit of a bully to a certain degree. She's a bit of that.
She's just rock hard, man. She's
punk,
just like
got that punk rock vibe.
Yeah, she got that. I don't know if you guys have seen Arcane, but she gives me that Vi action that.
I love
that. She's like, I'm not gonna take nobody's BS, not even her mama's. She was like, but she also has a you can tell she's a kid because when everything was going down in the pyro and everybody was fighting, she was just like, she reverted back to a kid, like, oh, I'm out of my league, like type. When the robot was fighting everybody, so I like her character so far. I'm loving it.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
I think that a lot of her rebellious attitude is just her mom seems to be pushing her so hard, and this is her way of pushing back. Like, I don't think she's a mean person. I think she kind of comes off as a bully because she's like pushing back against her mom, even though the kids obviously aren't her mom. It's just her defense.
Yeah.
Did anybody catch the American Graffiti reference?
Yes.
I didn't. I did not.
Julie, do you want
to
tell him, Julie?
Yeah, it is the kid that she's racing. His name is based off the Harrison Ford's character. In
this one?
American
Graffiti.
The young Kylo Ren lookalike.
Alpha, something like that.
Something Falfa.
Right out of American Graffiti, which I was just like.
I didn't catch that.
Bro, you can tell these writers, these creators,
are nerds.
They're nerds, bro. And
but we're the nerds for also noticing it too.
The Captain EO reference really got me. The Captain EO reference was great. I love Captain EO. I don't know if anyone in here has seen Captain EO. It was only at Disneyland for like a short period of time. It was in Disneyland back in like a while ago, and then they brought it back after MJ's Michael Jackson's death, and that's when I got to see it when I was a kid going to Disneyland. They had a character from Captain EO, Fuzzball, in the show, and I was that was cool for me because I grew up with that
that's
show.
Crazy. See, I'm missing a lot of these eggs, but just hearing about it, it's just like, that's great. I love when writers and just creators, pay homage to what they grew up to. Like, and what led to their creative, what led them wanting to be doing their job, what they're doing right now. So it's like, big ups to them. They're watching. Big ups to them.
Yeah,
it's what we say about the Mando season 1, the Camtono, which is the character, the background character from Empire. What's his name? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on it. I feel ashamed as a Star Wars fan.
Will Rohood.
Like stuff like that, or even the blurgs. Like you take the small stuff that you really have to be a Star Wars fan, and then you lift it up a little bit and see like, all right, what comes of it now when you put it in the forefront instead of the background.
Right.
But I think the dynamic with the girls, even with KB, that visor, that
it's great.
That is like.
Well, there's a bit of Lobot tech in there. Yeah, there's also a bit of Lobot tech in there. A bit of what's it called?
Geordie LaForge.
Geordie LaForge, but the illegal tech before it became almost illegal. I guess.
The mods?
The to a certain degree. There's elements in there. She's got. I mean, she plugs in. She does all this cool stuff. I don't know it's part of the headset. But,
now that I think about it, what this show gives me? These characters, the kids. What they bring. They remind me of the Ninja Turtles. Like, Fern is Raphael, and I don't know what the kid's name. He's Michelangelo.
Yeah. Neil, oh my god, yeah.
Neil Wim is Leonardo, and Donatello, KB's Donatello.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I see the vision.
I thought about it, and I'm like, yo, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's pretty tight. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Totally. Let's talk a little bit about the suburbs and the areas and the landscape and the vibe for the town itself. Again, we talked a little bit at the beginning. It's got this kind of suburbia kind of metropolis, but then they've got this this whole dark undertone of this whole dystopian kind
THX
of, absolutely, all that stuff's all involved and thought about in that process of creating this series. Which I think is fun.
It felt so like I'm just thinking because like the first vision I get of Star Wars and cities, I always think of Coruscant, and it's just like it's so strange seeing the sky empty and all like I mean they're still hovering, all the cars and all the vehicles, but it's like so grounded, and it feels like weird, and it just something's wrong. It doesn't feel right. But I think that's what the tone they were going for, is that there's this doesn't feel like Star Wars. That's what they were going for. That doesn't feel like Star Wars. There's something up here.
Which again was my worry going in, but when they kind of settled that whole these guys have been left behind, I was like, I can accept that. I actually like that the planet itself.
It reminded me of like too much of Earth. Like when the kids were taking that test, it gave me nightmares of when I was taking my SAT. I was like,
bro, I kept saying
I guess it's what it's supposed to do.
You said that? That's good.
It was great. Like I think one of my friends during the reactions, he kept saying when the historian was like, "I want to be an accountant." My friend was like, "These are boring ass kids. Why not? Like, an accountant?" Which I think also plays to the plot. I'm like, okay, why are these kids just being put up to work? Government jobs already at a young age, and it's just like I think there's, as Optimus Prime would say, there's more than meets the eye. Like there's something cooking. It can't be just this. And the Toronto Tower. We saw the Toronto Tower there.
Right.
Well.
It's just so automated. Like
So we got the whole connection of the kids meeting each other when Fern meets Wim, and obviously, you know, she's pretty clued in. You can tell that the face is ticking. Again, great performance by the actress, and I don't remember her name right now off the top of my head, but she's real. Like all the kids are fantastic, but she's really like, wow, this kid is getting it. She's seeing it. She's knowing and understanding, you know, the reaction and everything else like that. So
Ryan Kira Armstrong.
That's the one. Yeah.
And I think that moment felt like Ferris Bueller's Days Off with the Charlie Sheen sequence where he's like the jockey with Ferris's sister and whatnot. It felt a little bit like that.
I think she's longing for adventure, just like Wim is. She just doesn't. Wim is just so hyper focused on becoming a Jedi or finding out a Jedi, but she wants an adventure too. She's going against everything that her mom is trying to put her against. So she's seeking adventure too. That's why I feel like she was so like, you know, gung ho about. She beat Wim to it going back. So I was like, that's crazy.
And like you could tell, like they, like you said, they want the same thing, but for very different reasons. Whereas Wim's that kid that wants to get out and leave because he's bored. It's very much the opposite for Fern, because she's too busy. She wants to be free and have that responsibility her mom's getting.
Of course, then it leads us into the forest a little bit, and loving the speeders. I loving like the go-kart sounds of the speeders and everything like that. You know, it's like
a speeder bike. Literally, like a bike, like a kid's bike. Little baskets in the back.
That was it. Did you notice though when Wynn goes through into the forest for the first time, it's the same shots as Return of the Jedi with the speeder bike chase. Because you've got the one tree that's on the angle, you see him come underneath it, and it was like there was so many similar shots. It was like, okay, they obviously reference Return of the Jedi at this point, but they did it well. It was
only that, but the turn. It felt like Akira. It felt like Akira, where, like he does.
It was like a Akira sled.
I'm like, again, if you're doing a motorbike, you got to do the Akira shot. Like,
100%.
If you're geeking, you need to go through that to be like, I did the Akira shot. So
I was worried about him. Oh, for some reason, I don't know why. When he was going down the speeder, like dodging the trees, he kept looking back. I'm like, bro, keep your eyes on the street.
You're not a Jedi. You can't. Yeah,
like, you go hit the tree.
You could really die in this situation.
Literally.
Yeah. Of course, we got the little canyon area where they, you know, the ship and all that sort of stuff. The kids kind of eat. There was some great little moments in there. Great humor too. You know, we saw this coming. You know, the idea that listen inside, the kid with the big ear kind of sticks his head down, kind of thing. I thought it was cute.
It's so cute how they're so gullible. They both listen.
Yeah.
I love
but the thing is, we're boys. We are that gullible. We were kids. We would fall for it.
Bro, I feel like the writers of this show are like probably like around my. I feel like they're like my age or like 40s. Like because I feel like they're like playing so much of my childhood right now. It's crazy.
Yeah,
that's why I'm loving it so much.
Yeah, me too. It is fantastic. So they discover the ship. They jump in the ship, and then started off. That sequence was great. Like the whole, Wim hitting the button. It's like, that was inevitable. That was that kind of character. That's who that character is. But I thought it was just visually pretty stunning. Like they did, I did not feel like they were shooting in California for the first time, or on the.
Did they shoot in California? Really?
Yeah, they were shooting at the same time as Ahsoka. Oh yeah, that was going at the same time as Ahsoka. A lot was the volume. A lot was some of the backlot stuff. They did go on location in a few places specifically. But at the same time, it didn't feel like they were shooting on the volume as it just didn't have that vibe to it.
It was obvious.
No. Yeah, it was not as obvious, and I think that felt good. That felt a little more
refreshing.
Refresh, exactly. Yeah.
It didn't feel too secluded.
And the visuals were great. When the ship was coming out of the ground.
Yeah, then it flipped over upside down.
I was like, yo, that was
so cool. That was very ET. That moment.
Yes. Yeah.
And the dad just looking up.
Yeah. I mean, they had to have that moment with the dad seeing the kid, getting blasted off into space. It was like, yeah, it was cool. And of course, they go through, and that's where we learn about the barrier and stuff, and the fact these kids had never seen stars before. Again, that was the first alert for me. It was going, okay, there's something really, really bizarre. That was my first indication of like they've totally shut off from everybody else at this point. And,
I don't know if you guys saw this, but at first I was under the assumption like the barrier was like a natural planetal barrier, because we've seen similar types of things in Star Wars before like that. But if you put the picture back on screen, Brent, you can see little red dots like behind the barrier.
Oh,
almost make it look like it's been put up there.
Yeah.
Like there's some man-made interference there.
Yes.
Interesting.
I thought it was a natural barrier, because I was thinking at first, I was like, oh, like Scarif kind of.
Yeah. I was thinking that too.
But then I saw
that one planet they referenced from Endor, Aldhani, I think it was.
Aldhani.
Where the lights in the skies appear when they escaped. Yeah.
So again, it's like I'm more intrigued about that as a story too. It's great we're getting these subplots. Of course, at that point, the kids go into hyperspace, which, by the way, was freaking amazing to see all of their faces. It was such a moment. Like, it was so cool,
It's like capturing me in a screenshot riding Space Mountain. Be like, oh,
that's it. Yeah.
And it reminded me of Omega. When Omega finally first
from the Bad Batch.
Omega would love this group. Omega would fit right in with this group.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, totally. Yeah.
Love them.
And young Hera would too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. And then, we jump into episode 2, where we're introduced to SM-33, or Smee, as some call him. I do like that he's got that little tiny creature in his eye socket that pops out every once in a while and is reminiscent of the parrot on the pirate's shoulder. So, I think it's kind of a cool concept. Also voiced by actor Nick Frost, so has some nice comedic element to that, to that character.
Pop culture royalty.
Yeah,
that boy could box, man. Smee could box, man.
Yeah, there's some great.
When he was burning the guy's face with his iron.
Oh yeah.
The shield. He reminded me of the Iron Giant for some odd reason.
Yes.
He does look like it.
Yeah.
It's been a while that I've seen a droid, and I'm like, I want that figure. I want
that. He would make a great action figure.
Yeah, I want that.
I love Smee. The loyalty he has to his captain. Yeah. And just he was like, you guys better not put your hands on my captain when he walked. And he just walked up one guy versus like all of them. Just beating them all up. I was like, he's hard. He's hard.
I like we got to see Fern's storytelling like actually put to a good use. Like we saw her telling the stories earlier to Wim and like making the make believe up. But then now she's doing that in order to get Smee on their side. So I thought it was cool. We had a little bit of a payoff for that. Like set up with her telling the stories, and then now she gets to use them.
Yeah, you're right. Again, it was well thought up. Yeah, no, totally. at that point, I also enjoyed the fact of, where is home? We don't know where home is anymore, and that was also a great little, great little moment, and that brings us to the pirate alcoves, which is
Treasure Island.
Bigger than it's more like Tortuga kind of thing. Tortuga.
Yeah,
from
Tortuga.
Pirates,
A lot like Tortuga.
And they gave it a name, and I can't remember what the name was on this particular place. But if you notice, a lot of the designs of the ships are the same designs that we saw from the Mandalorian of Goran Shad's ship, because that ship has got the same stripes and the same look and the same. Yeah. So you've got this paint job going on. So, I mean, I do like that they did introduce that pirate episode in The Mandalorian, because it really did in season 3, because it did set up, that there are bigger threats out there, and the pirates are becoming a threat. I think this is as big as as a little mini empire going on here. So we've got this.
When we spend times in areas like these with characters and beings like this is up my alley. It's what I love about Mando season 1, and again, as I say, as a whole, Book of Boba Fett doesn't work for me. But anytime we were in Lady Garfa, whatever her name is, Jennifer Beals character, whenever we were in her casino club, I was like, this is my jam. Just shoot here. You don't have to go outside of Jabba's palace. Just shoot here. Do the gambling, do the dancers, do the drinking. Yeah. I love that.
When I was watching, I was like, I just had to pause and stop and just appreciate all the alien designs, and this is Star Wars.
So much practical.
Star Wars. Star Wars.
Yeah, the little monkey that's driving them through, and then he gets paid.
Yeah,
it's not. It actually is one of Teek's race, and Teek is actually from the Ewoks and the Battle of Endor.
I love it.
And the fact that I didn't catch it at first because of the lack of hair, but it's like, it's the speedster element that he has. He's got very fast speed.
Yeah, a little super speed.
Yeah, and so it was like, that was
Ewoks
kind of
Adventures, y'all. We're getting Ewoks Adventures references.
That's it. Yeah,
but. You know what I was thinking? I was thinking, I was laughing about it. I was like, isn't it so funny how everybody Wim is literally using his lunch money.
Yes.
And everybody's going,
which is only a couple of dollars here and there. It's nothing to you or me kind of thing.
Imagine you go
it was
with your $2 in lunch money.
It was 1 week's worth of lunch money, so it's anything crazy.
Yeah.
It's even funnier with the fact that they, in the beginning, his dad emphasized to, make sure you use it wisely and, and make it last the whole week. And he's, literally,
burning through it.
Here you go.
And it's worth so much more than he thinks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I like the scene where he was like, how much do I give him? He was going to give him more. He was like, he didn't realize the value.
I also appreciate, I don't know if you guys used to do it, but as a kid, I used to always, when I used to get money, I used to always put it in my sock.
Really? I never did that. That's funny.
I used to always put it in my sock.
Just because of fear that it would be taken from you?
Oh, yeah,
man.
That's it?
Yeah, man.
I never... Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, but I would just put it in my sock. Yeah,
I would do it too, because I always wore skirts.
Huh.
And no pockets on that, yeah.
I grew up in Australia, so...
Yeah, you guys had to worry about big old spiders.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Yeah. We had other things to worry about, but and then of course we have this little run-in with this little. I'm going to assume she was a prostitute, but this. I mean, come on, it was a seedy place. Come on.
She was a what do they call him? They call him
what do they call him?
Manuel's lost it.
That's like Jackie if she survived.
But
I'm forgetting the word.
Hey, we're saying it how it is.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
But they highlighted that. Pirates. Yeah. Sometimes. And I could tell outside. I was like, kids, don't look at that. Even me, I was in the reaction like, kids.
Anyway,
that's that red light district.
Yeah. Where I was going with that is that we kind of learned that Adam is their home planet is this weird myth and this whole thing. And that immediately was, for me, was like, my ears perked up. It's like, oh shit, we have got Treasure Planet going on here. We've got Treasure Island, and the kids come from the island. And I thought that was a fascinating concept too, because really, Treasure Island's all about... They're trying to find this island,
right.
And they will, and the pirates are, But these kids are now right in the middle of it. But Treasure Island is a paradise, and it's home, but it's not. It's a dystopian home, but it's like it sets up so many cool factors of where this is going.
It changed like the perspective, because I think what everyone thought this was going to be was like the kids blasting off into hyperspace and ending up somewhere like they did in Ahsoka, somewhere in the unknown regions, just having no way home. Because like in reality, if they just took a short trip to hyperspace, they're just like, oh, I'm from Jeddah. People know where Jeddah is. They can easily bring the kids back. So this adds an extra element of, like you said, mystery and adventure, because it's like, oh wait, no one actually does know where these
and now the threat will be that their home is going to be in danger once they try to actually find it, because the very people that
they're gonna find it, but they're also gonna I'm pretty sure they're not gonna be like, oh, let's just make sure we're not being tailed. They're gonna bring that whole freaking pirate port to their knocking on their door.
Well, Jod is Jod's looking for his like redemption with his crew, because I mean, we're assuming that Jod is the masked figure at the start of episode 1, how he leads them into the empty vaults, and then he gets mutinied and he's thrown in prison, as we can assume. And so he's gonna help the kids, but once he finds that, he'll probably view that as his opportunity to get back in the good graces of his crew. Be like, I found what you guys were looking for.
Well, that's it. I mean, we go from this moment where the kids are under threat. I love the fact that SM-33 comes in to do the rescue, but eventually they get themselves thrown in prison. So, but then we get this moment where there's a reveal of a Jedi. So let's talk about the Jedi.
God,
might be a Jedi. I don't think
might be a Jedi. I don't think he's a Jedi. Yeah. So okay, what's everyone's opinions on Jod as a character, and what kind of Force skills? Is he a con man completely? Is he a Force sensitive character? What are your thoughts, guys?
For me, sorry. You want to go first, Daniel?
I'll go. Go ahead. I think he's just truly a Force sensitive pirate. I don't think he's a Jedi. I don't know if he's ever had any affiliation with the Order. Right. I don't think he's super high level Force sensitive, like to where the Jedi would like scout him out and like, oh, we need to get this guy.
Right.
I think he's just a pirate that has some additional tricks up his sleeve. I've heard people throwing around like a magnet theory online, like, oh, like the guy from Obi-Wan that was tricking people into believing he was a Jedi.
Yeah.
I've heard people saying, oh, he's just doing that. He's just a con man. And I don't think that's true, because I don't think they would have played the Force theme and like made it such a big moment if that was the case. So I do think he has the Force.
Because they've done that before, it felt different than the other times. So we knew that was a con going in when we were watching it in.
I
don't think he's a Jedi. I think he's a pirate.
Me personally, I don't think he's Force sensitive. I think he's playing on whims. I think he's gonna be probably like closest to whim because whim is so much like, I want to be a Jedi, and he's gonna play that role. He's a con man. He's gonna play that role of being a Jedi.
Oh, there's definitely a con man in there.
Yeah, just to get on their good graces and have them. Lead a Jedi to your home and then he's So me personally, I don't think he's Force sensitive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Julie?
I was gonna say at first, I also thought that, just like even before watching the show, I kind of figured, I was like, no, I think there's some magnet con man-esque vibe going on here. But once I did hear that score when he used it, I was like, that felt almost too emotional to use without someone that actually isn't Force sensitive.
Yeah.
I think he can manipulate the Force, not like Daniel said, not at the level of like a Jedi could, but enough to get by and trick people.
Yeah.
And so I'm more concerned for his relationship that he's going to have with Wim.
Yeah.
Because like Emmanuel's saying, he looks up to the Jedi. He thinks there's this big thing. Yeah. And when that moment comes, and it will come at the end, when he realizes, like, you're nothing like the Jedi I thought would be, I feel like that is going to hurt his ideas of his future and what he's been believing his whole life.
Yeah.
And for for adults, like, it's interesting, like with May and like her sister, it's one thing because they're older, they're adults, but to see that same idea happen to someone you've been looking up to like a 10-year-old, it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, that will be. Ronin?
I'm mixed because besides either whether he's Force sensitive or not, or he's a Jedi or not, it's also like, well, why did you wait to escape now that there's a bunch of kids in the city? Why wait now?
Yes.
That was my question too.
Yeah, he could have done that at any time. He could have wiped the key off of any.
Yeah, I have a theory for that.
Yeah.
Which also, I want to hear your theory, but also, did anybody hear the whistle?
You go first.
Yeah. Did anybody hear the Pirates of the Caribbean whistle?
Yes,
yes. Well, yeah, the whistle and the whole cage. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
I was gonna say my perspective is he's force sensitive. I would also go as far as he was a bit like Balin Scroll. He might have come as a Jedi kid from the Jedi Temple because he's at the same age. He might have been shifted through the path and might have been able to get out through Kenobi. And just become, a survivor. And, you consider the fact that Kanan Jarrus was a survivor, although Kanan stuck to the Jedi ways. He was force sensitive. Yeah. He escaped as a kid. And you're going to have that in the galaxy, that all these once force users, if they did manage to maintain a little bit of the force and survive the Empire, they have the ability now of coming out of hiding. And I think now, and again, originally I thought it was like, he's a con man before I saw the series. Wasn't until that scene I'm like, no, he's definitely force sensitive, but I think he once could have been a Jedi child, a Padawan.
Exactly.
That has gone through and survived the hardships, and this has just become his life now. But he's definitely a con man, and in my opinion. He's going to use those kids to get to the planet, obviously. That's obvious.
Yeah. And I think that's why he didn't escape. I think my guess would be his thought process was, well, I escape, and then what? They capture me again. They throw me back in here. Whereas if he escapes with the kids and he can get back to their planet, then he has something to offer his crew to get his position
at that
back,
moment in time. But I imagine he's been there for. It felt like quite some time. It felt like it was some several months later. So it still was that question of why didn't he escape? And he had no idea who these kids were up until this moment in time.
That's what I'm saying.
So I don't know. I don't know what the play is there. It's going to be fun to find out.
Sure. I think Daniel. I agree with Daniel because it's like I think he waited for an opportunity where he know for sure he could influence people and provide and have a genuine opportunity to leave, because it's like. Sure. You're in the middle of a floating rock, and there's pirates everywhere. He knows these kids. I don't know if they mentioned their ship, but I'm assuming he would know that these kids have a ship.
Yeah.
But, I mean, kids are gullible, and
of course,
doesn't seem to really care. So.
Well, especially Wim now. I mean, Wim's going to be like Gaga or a force user, and he's going to be blinded to that. Mm-hmm. I think. Who do you think is going to be the first kid to kind of wise up to
Neo?
Neo?
It's going to be Fern. I think he's going to know very quickly.
I think Fern.
I think the kids are going to split off, because it's obviously very much like Wim and Fern are the leaders, and like Neil and KB are kind of just like their besties on the side. I love them, but that's the vibe. And I think that at one point, Fern's going to be like, we can't trust him, and Wim's going to be like, no, he's a Jedi. It's going to be a little bit of a
it's going to create tension. Yeah. Again, this show's set up for all these great moments. So we'll kind of start to wrap it up here, guys. What are you hoping to see in episode 3? Where do you hope this story goes? Do you think we're going to be stuck on this planet for a while with the pirates, or in the spaceport, I should say, with the pirates? Do you think we're moving on? Do we think we're going to just jump ship and go to the father and the story? Do we think we're going to have this intertwining arcs going? What are your thoughts, guys?
For me, the next episode, I hope they pretty much wrap up on that planet and leave. Mm-hmm. Okay. I actually hope they leave early, and then they go on an adventure, maybe like trying to find the right coordinates. Maybe that pirate ship doesn't have the coordinates. I don't know. I want them to go on different adventures while those pirates are trailing them. So they have to go from planet to planet or place to place, and but always know that these pirates are on their tail. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. Hopefully, we get like a good breakout sequence. It's always fun to get a good prison break adventure. Mm-hmm. So I hope next episode we get a good prison break sequence that lasts a decent length. And then I also hope we get to see back to Aden, and we get to see what's going on the dad's side of things. Because did we get any of that in episode 2, or was that all episode 1?
No, it was all
pirates.
So I hope we go back to Aden and see what's going on that side of things too.
Oh yeah.
I agree. I would want to obviously have that good escape sequence. Maybe just I want to see that interaction with Wim being infatuated by Job, and just the fact that he's a Jedi. But I want to definitely go back to Aden and see what the dad is discovering and what they believe, because it looked like the security guards are like, yeah, right, your kids went on a ship, and I'm wondering if the planet will kind of hush up or actually try to find these kids,
or maybe try to hush. I don't know. When he was in the forest and when the security guards was like, you need to get back to where I was just like, hey, yo,
this is a restricted area, sir.
Yeah. I thought they were going to tase him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, it's like, this ship has something to do with that restriction. I feel like because the ship's had been down there for a long time. And it's like, obviously everybody just buried over this. I think the ship is part of the old Republic kind of era. And about the same time, this planet might even have been formed or forged. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, Smee was in that ship. So pirates have been there at one point, and they definitely found the treasure island. So
yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
But then you gotta worry about what killed them. All the pirates. Did they kill each other?
Well, they seem to. I mean, we saw the dead bodies that were the skeleton bodies inside.
One-Eye Willie.
So, One-Eye Willie's skeletons. Yeah. But same time, guys. Anyway, any other last thoughts before we head off?
Oh, I want to hear Daniel's theory.
Oh yeah, which one?
I said it about how he was waiting for the kids because he saw it as an opportunity, or else he was just gonna he was just gonna be like spinning wheels there. Like he gets out and then does what? Like he doesn't.
Oh no, man, he's force sensitive. If I was force sensitive, you best believe I wouldn't be in no prison.
Right. Yeah. Cool, guys. Well, thanks all for joining us. Everybody out there, if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. We will try to jump back on the bandwagon soon and do some live reactions and stuff like that. Yep. Ronin, thank you for joining us. Where can we find you on your channel?
You can find me at Ronin Unchained on YouTube, on all the socials. I'm going to be covering Skeleton Crew and Creature Commandos. Those are the main shows I'm covering right now. And what can I tease? I'll say this. I already seen the 3rd episode, and I'm very intrigued to see what you guys think about that 3rd episode. And I'll say that another fan favorite character out of this series will come out in the next episode. That's all I'm going to say before I say anything more.
All right. Okay. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks again, and we shall catch you next time.
Peace, guys. Peace.